Mr. Speaker, the land transfer tax in Manitoba was originally established so that the costs of registering property transactions in the provincial property registry system could be covered. The transfer of our province's property registry system was official on March 29th of this year. And since then, Ontario's Terranet owns and operates Manitoba's property registry with the understanding that it is to be self-sufficient based on fees charged. Mr. Speaker, Manitobans are now being charged both land transfer taxes and Terranet fees. I ask the Premier, where is the money going that is now being collected in the land transfer tax?
The member will know that we've started the process of eliminating taxes for seniors with respect on their property with respect to education. That's a very significant commitment that's rolled out. The member will also know that we've increased the education property tax credit for all homeowners in Manitoba from $250 a year to $700 a year, and for senior citizens, they're eligible for up to $1,100 a year. So $1,100 plus an additional $200 this year, and for everybody in Manitoba, $700 versus $250, Mr. Speaker. The member will also know that we put a rent assistance program in place that lifts the assistance for people requiring support for affordable housing and apartments to 75% of the median rent in Manitoba, Mr. Speaker. All of these measures are designed to keep the cost of living affordable in Manitoba, to ensure Manitobans have access to resources to have an affordable cost of life in this province, and those are just some examples of where these resources go, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I understand that Terranet will collect the land transfer tax for the NDP government, and then the money will then go to the NDP government and into the expanding maw of general revenues. Will the money raised by the land transfer tax have any relationship in the future to the registering of property? Nope. Or will it fall prey to the Premier's lack of accountability, so that Manitobans will be paying for items like the extra 20% of the Premier's salary, which he legislatively ensured he continues to receive even with the current budget deficit? I ask the Premier, which is it?
The member has voted against every year our affordable housing program. We built a record 1,500 units of social housing in the province of Manitoba over the last 4 years, Mr. Speaker, over the last 5 years. Huge investment in housing in Manitoba at a price point that Manitobans can afford at a maximum percentage of their income, Mr. Speaker. We also have a major affordable housing program in Manitoba, Mr. Speaker, and if we expanded both of those programs by 500 units each going forward, record amount of social housing, record amount of affordable housing, record amount of property tax credits, record amount of relief for senior citizens on education taxes with respect to their property, Mr. Speaker. All of those items keep Manitoba affordable, keep Manitobans housed, Mr. Speaker, and I could talk about all the money we're putting into jobs, infrastructure, and training as well on the next question, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, Manitobans want a straight and accountable answer as to where the money is going. As I table, in Saskatchewan, they have modernized accounting for land transfers. They have got rid of the unaccountable land transfer taxes and only have fees which directly relate to their property registry sales and costs. How does the Premier justify usurping the original intentions of the land transfer tax to fund the property registry and to make this change so that there's no longer accountability to Manitobans?
You can't make
Mr. Speaker, I ask, what gives the Premier the right to completely sever the land transfer tax from funding the property registry and instead to use the money as a provincial slush fund?
Member may have missed it, but we're providing very significant support to people in Manitoba with respect to taxes levied on property. Property tax credits, $700, rolled back from $325 to $250 when the opposition was in government. The property tax credit for senior citizens, $1,100. Additional relief on property taxes for seniors of $200, Mr. Speaker, this year. a record build on social housing in Manitoba, a record build on affordable housing in Manitoba, Mr. Speaker, a very significant tax credit for people that build apartments in Manitoba, Mr. Speaker, which has seen a record number of apartment units being developed in our jurisdiction. All of these things are housing Manitobans and keeping the cost of housing for Manitobans very affordable, Mr. Speaker. We want Manitobans properly housed. We want Manitobans working. We want Manitobans to have good jobs as we do our skills agenda, as we do our infrastructure agenda, as we do our innovation agenda. That's where the money's going, Mr. Speaker, to make sure Manitobans are working and living in decent housing.